Hi, it's Mrs. Cox with our Science Family Challenge. And as always with these challenges, you can do it on your own or with your brothers and sisters if you have any, but you always need to talk to a grown-up first, particularly when you get on to doing the experiment. But let me explain. I'll share my screen and we'll find out all about today's challenge. Okay, so today we are going to investigate, we're going to find out what is the best bandage to use in a toy hospital. And you can see here lots of poorly toys who've got plasters and bandages and are getting better in a toy hospital. And the reason I thought we'd do this today is yesterday I went and had my COVID jab I went to somewhere that looked a bit like this, and I went met lots of lovely people that were helping, and I went into one of these cubicles and a nurse put a needle in my arm and put the COVID vaccination into me. And I feel much safer and very grateful to all the people who are working in hospitals and vaccination centres, but also to the scientists who invented the vaccine. And that is these people. And this is Özlem Türeci and Ugur Sahin, and they were originally, their families were from Turkey and they emigrated to Germany, and both of them wanted to be in medicine from being really young. So I like to think that maybe they played Teddy hospitals when they were little, and they wanted to be doctors, and then they became scientists, and they became so clever. They worked very hard at their science and they did their training, and they invented a vaccine which is going to help us all get back to normal after COVID. So two amazing people there. And I wonder if you've ever played Teddy hospitals. When my boys were little, they used to quite enjoy bandaging up their teddies using maybe toilet roll or kitchen roll and pretending that they were doctors. And you might have played that in school when you were little. But did you know there are actually real dolls hospitals and teddy hospitals where they take the teddies and they mend them and get them back to normal again. And this is one. Alice's Bear Shop has a hospital for poorly bears and dolls. And what I want us to think about today is I want you to imagine that you work in a toy hospital. What material could you use to make the best bandage? So we need to think about what are the properties of a good bandage. So properties is a really excellent science word, and it just means what is the material like. So one of the properties of a brick is that it's hard and heavy, and one of the properties of a window is that it's transparent, we can see through it. And one of the properties of a towel, when you dry yourself, is it's absorbent. It absorbs the water, sucks up the water off your skin and takes it away. So what does a good bandage need to be like? Have a think. What do you think makes a really good bandage? Okay, so I've got some words here. It needs to be flexible, so it needs to wrap round the hand, so it needs to be flexible and bendy. It needs to be soft, so it doesn't hurt us. It needs to be strong, so it doesn't fall apart. It needs to be hygienic, so we can keep it clean, and it needs to be absorbent. It needs to absorb any liquid or blood that comes from a wound. So that might be the properties of a good bandage, what makes a good bandage. And I was thinking about what materials we'd have around the house. What would make a good bandage and how could we find out? So I was thinking, looking around my house, I could see tin foil, cardboard. I could see this thick, puffy fabric that we use in coats. I could see paper, soft, fluffy fabric that you would use in a fleece, kitchen towel. Could see some rubber. That's a real bandage, which is often made out of a very flexible, stretchy material. There's some towels and there's a plastic bag. So have a look at those materials. Which ones do you think would make good bandages and which would make bad bandages? Now, can I say, I'm not suggesting that you cut up coats and jumpers to make fabric and to make bandages. So what I am suggesting is that you look for, if anyone in your house sews, there might be scraps of fabric around. You'll almost certainly have some kitchen roll, toilet roll or foil. You might have a towel you could experiment with. You might have some cardboard. So don't cut up anything that your mum and dad need or your family need. But in the other video, I'll show you some of the materials I found and how I tested them. So you could just experiment with different materials and find one that makes a good bandage. And you could have a lot of fun just playing Doll Hospital or Teddy Hospital and finding out about the properties of different materials to make a bandage. So that's our first level of challenge. But if you want to be more scientific, then there's lots you can do to set up a proper science test at home. And scientists have to test and test and test to make sure that they get the right results. So the vaccine that's gone in my arm has been tested many times in different ways to make sure that it works and to make sure that it's safe. So testing is a really important thing that scientists do. So when you're testing your materials, first of all, you need to think, what property are you testing? We're going to test one thing at a time. So do you want to test how flexible it is, how strong it is, how soft it is, or how absorbent it is? And then you need to think, how can you make your test fair? And how can you record your results? Fair testing is a really important part of science, and making neat, careful records of your results is also really important so that you can read them and other people can understand them. So here's our chilly challenges. Level 1, which everyone can do, is try and compare materials to find a good bandage for a toy. Level 2 is to carry out a fair test to select the best bandage for a toy. And our hardest level would be to do some writing about your test. And first of all, to make a prediction. So a prediction is, I think this material will be best for this property. So I might look at these two materials, foil and kitchen roll, and I might think, okay, I'm going to test them for softness, and I can say that this one is, I predict that this one is softer than that one. So that's a prediction. You then do your test, record your results, and write about what you discovered. So that's the hardest level of the challenge. If you watch the other video, you will see how I tested some materials for absorbency, and that might give you some ideas for your own test. We look forward to seeing your science tests. Share them with your teacher when you've finished. Okay.